About one loss, don't even centre them. Some of them don't even race. Absolutely nil. All it is the little clique of people, like I said, little cavalry get together and try to hurt people. You know, I mean, we was accused, and I'm shocked by somebody. I'm not going to mention his name because he runs another one off race, but I was absolutely shocked with some of the comments what come on. One comment was that the British Masters one-off race was not running in 2022 because it had an intellectual property dispute in the courts with who dares wins. What a load of crap. Absolute load of rubbish. So to post that, Tony, you were wrong. Why didn't you ring and ask me what the problem were? There was no problem, as I posted out weeks ago, there was no problem with who dares wins and the British Masters one-off race. There was no problem. Who dares wins is certainly not responsible for the British Masters not running their race in 2022. Let me get that straight.
Afternoon all. So the important update is that I have had a temporary injunction placed on me by the High Court in London, preventing me from publishing certain pieces of information. The reason I played that video first, which I'm going to play again in a minute, is because this all started when Gary Tomlinson came out on his last show 3 weeks on Monday, it'll be, stating out and out lies. And I'm going to explain more about what has happened. What I will say, it's Saturday, and twice in the space of 4 days, I have had hand served, and I can't show you the front page because it is bound by this injunction, hand served these documents on behalf of Gary Tomlinson's solicitors today. So let's watch that video again, and then I will explain why we're watching that video again.
Half the people that keep posting about one loss don't even centre them. Some of them don't even race. Absolutely nil. All it is the little clique of people, like I said, little cavalry get together and try to hurt people. You know, I mean, we was accused, and I'm shocked by somebody. I'm not going to mention his name because he runs another one-off race, but I was absolutely shocked with some of the comments what come on. One comment was that the British Masters one-off race was not running in 2022 because it had an intellectual property dispute in the courts with who dares wins. What a load of crap. Absolute load of rubbish. So to post that, Tony, you were wrong. Why didn't you ring and ask me what the problem were? There was no problem, as I posted out weeks ago, there was no problem with who dares wins and the British Masters one-off race. There was no problem. Who dares wins is certainly not responsible for the British Masters not running their race in 2022. Let me get that straight. That's not down to who dares wins. Not at all. Why they're not running their race, I don't know. I suggest you people out there, you ask them why they're not. But it's nothing to do with who dares wins. So that let's get that straight. But again, you had people jump on board, you see, posting shit. What, before they knew anything? Why not ask? why not ring me up and ask me instead of just jumping on board and hoping that something gathers momentum? Half the people that keep posting about.
Okay. So in this, Gary says he was accused and shocked with some of the comments that he had the week before this video was put out. And one of the comments was that British Masters is not running this year because of an intellectual property dispute in the courts. And he says, what a load of crap, what a load of rubbish. And why didn't that person ring him and ask him? There was no problem with British Masters and Who Dares Wins. Who Dares Wins was certainly not responsible for the British Masters race not running this year. And it's not down to Who Dares Wins. And why don't people ask them why it's not running? Well, if you've seen this previous video, forgive me. But for them that haven't, I'm going to explain some of that and why it is total BS, first of all. And then I'll explain what Gary Tomlinson solicitors have done to stop me talking about some of that. He was accused and shocked to the comments. One of the comments was that British Masters was not running and had an intellectual property dispute in the courts with Who Dares Wins. That is correct. They did. What a load of crap and rubbish, he says. Why didn't they ring and ask him? Well, by the letter of the law and the confidentiality agreement Gary Tomlinson put in it, which I'm not able to talk about, nobody can talk about it. So if they'd have called British Masters or they'd have called Who Dares Wins, nobody in theory should have been able to say anything about it. Who Dares Wins was certainly not responsible for them not running this race. So Gary Tomlinson is trying to say there's no problem with it. It's total rubbish and crap that there's been any intellectual property hearing, court case or anything between them. And I'm here again stating, despite this, but I'm sticking to the rules of the injunction I've had implied put on me, that, in my humble opinion, is total BS, because I was a party to it. I'm still being taken to court for intellectual property reasons by Gary Tomlinson. And I'm here to tell you what he has just said there is complete and utter BS. He doesn't want people to know what he's actually done to British Masters and why and everything he's all the hassle and stress he's caused them, me, their family, my family. So that's that. If you've been looking at any of this, and anybody that chimes in and says, I'm sick of hearing about this, like I said a couple of days ago, don't watch it. Don't subscribe to my channels wherever you're watching this. Don't watch it. The people that are saying they're sick of hearing about it, with all due respect to anybody, you're not personally involved. You're not the person that's had 2 lots of files like this hand delivered to them, to their house. That also, at this moment in time, not that I'm too bad, but it's just a bad case of cold thing. COVID positive doesn't help. It's just another thing to deal with. That's by the by. No amount of COVID will stop me from dealing with this. I was party to an agreement that I thought I shouldn't have a confidentiality clause on because I didn't agree to it. Gary Tomlinson didn't like that I published that. Earlier this week, he tried to get an injunction against me publishing it. The judge said it will be scheduled for the 28th of April. Gary didn't seem to like that, nor like the fact that I'd gone and published all of the injunction details, because again, I ain't got anything to hide. And although Mr. Tomlinson says he's the king of openness, transparency, integrity, and all of this other stuff he keeps telling everybody all the time, I am actually that person. And I'm completely open and honest and transparent about this situation because I don't have anything to hide. Unlike, it seems, Gary Tomlinson. Because these documents are the result of, after finding out that the injunction hearing wasn't going to be heard until the 28th of April, Gary Tomlinson and his solicitors went back to the courts as what's called an ex parte hearing, i.e. with me not being involved because they deemed it so urgent. They went back to a judge yesterday at the High Court and got in front of a judge to try and persuade him that a lot of information that I published should not be published and there should be an injunction on it. The judge has now determined that there are certain things, there's 3 pieces of information that I have published and 1 new piece of information that's part of this that I am not to publish. And that injunction is a temporary one until 2 p.m. on Monday the 11th, when the judge wants them at the hearing and me at the hearing to be able to put my side forward. This is how much Gary Tomlinson doesn't want the real information and the real truth publishing. This is the real indication of how open, honest, transparent, above board, and whatever else he says he is. This is the real indication. The man, at probably great expense, has gone to the High Court yesterday, gone in front of a judge, or his solicitors have, getting a temporary injunction for me to unpublish certain pieces. So you will, if you go to Astomo now, you will see certain videos have been removed. You will see certain documents have been replaced. They've been removed, but it's been replaced, showing this document is not available due to a temporary injunction. And I, of course, have agreed, as I said all along, I will adhere. I'm not breaking the law. I don't want to break the law. I don't want to get in trouble for breaking the law. I have complied within 2 hours of receiving this lot. I have complied fully with the injunction that is in place until 2 p.m. on Monday until it's reviewed. So if you go to there, you will see certain things removed. But it is my belief that I'm able to say that that video put out a few weeks ago by Gary Tomlinson is complete BS, because he did have a court case with British Masters and he did go after them for intellectual property rights use, and he still is continuing to go after me for it after not paying me a single penny for any work I did for him over 2 years ago. Gary Tomlinson may be of the opinion, and his family may be of the opinion, that the truth will come out. Well, the truth already is out and they hate it. And they remind me of a famous ex-US president, the family. Fake news. Their interpretation of me telling lies is that if a confidentiality clause means it can't be said, then it's rubbish. Just because he had a confidentiality agreement that he, in theory, thought nobody could ever know about, what he actually happened with the British Masters, he thought that equated to me telling lies and whoever else telling lies. That's not the case. Just because you try and gag people to not say what actually happened doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means that you, for whatever reason, considering you are so open and honest and transparent, why wouldn't you want that showing? There's some other elements of the injunction that he put against me a couple of days ago, or tried to put against me, he doesn't want revealing for whatever reason. And of course, I'm adhering to that. Why am I keep going on about this, some may say? Because it's affected not just me, it's affected my family massively. In this injunction, he talks about the effect it's had on his family. I've had 2 years of this. It's affected my family greatly, but now it's also affected the Sullivan family. And because they have agreed to this, they can't get any, they can't say anything about it. So Mr. Open, above board, open, transparent, whatever else he wants to say, that is how he interprets being open, above board, and transparent, and the truth will come out eventually. Court, solicitors, action. So I have a temporary injunction against me from publishing certain information that Tomlinson doesn't want me to put out there until 2 p.m. on Monday, and then I have another hearing. I'll read some comments. David GH says, push politics out the door and race the birds. I completely agree, David. As I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm doing relating to pigeon racing in the UK, and more than just racing. I'm watching my son race his birds and helping him do the same. But you have to remember, this has been an ongoing, constant bombardment of hate, lies, untruths, and all kinds of things from this man and his family for 2 years. Because while in these documents, Tomlinson makes sure the court knows of the suffering he and his family have had as a result, they say, of Astomo.com, he doesn't, of course, mention all of the stuff and the accuracies and the truths that he's said about me. The complete lies. Sean Haig says, why not leave it to the court and not Facebook? Well, Sean, he prides himself on being open and transparent. He keeps telling everybody all the time. And as a direct result of me being involved in another one-off race and helping them with their marketing and what have you, he came out and told a complete lie when I will not see that happen. So that's why I'm putting it out there, because actually what really is the case, Gary Tomlinson hates that I've exposed the real truth. Hence the reason I've got an injunction against me. I agree, Andy Tudor, it is not good for the sport. But I would go as far as to say people like Gary Tomlinson are not good for the sport. English Bull Terrier says any one-off race or club for that match should be completely transparent. Otherwise, it loses credibility. I would completely agree. And all I've ever tried to do is force him to tell the truth, not his version of the truth. David Marson, if my son was having nightmares, I would stop this and put it to bed and focus on the well-being of my family. Pigeon sport used to be amongst gentlemen. Move on and leave it alone. David, I get what you're saying, but my son also witnessed this lot and friends of Tomlinson just yesterday spouting more horrible rumors about me. So, yes, he is having nightmares about his loft being set on fire every now and then still. But at the same time, if I don't tell people what Tomlinson and my experiences of him are like, and my version of the truth, then he'll continue to get away with it. Because here's the thing. He's relied on these kind of tactics and others to stop people telling the truth for way too long, in my opinion. Andy Cook, the only people I feel sorry for is Ian and Lee Sullivan getting caught in the middle of the shambles and did nothing wrong. I agree. They got caught in this, but I would say this. They can't speak about the particular details, but speak to them and ask them what they think. Because trust me, I speak to them on a regular basis. and they fully support me with all of this. Ron Fewins, when does it all going to stop? I don't know, Ron. I have done my job with Astomo.com in showing what kind of man he is and his family are. I've tried 4 times now to resolve things. Every one of them has been ignored or denied or refused. So I don't know where it stops. Some point it needs to stop. But while he keeps putting injunctions on me and wanting the site removed and going to the police about harassment and now going to the courts about harassment, I'm not entirely sure when it will stop. And as I said at the beginning, them people that say they're bored of it or they don't want to hear it, don't subscribe, because let me tell you, I've got many people that do want to know. I've got inboxes of people saying, thank you for exposing what's actually happened. Thank you for showing what this man's alike. And a big thanks to everybody that has supported me, and the phone calls, the messages, the texts, the emails that I've had about this. I don't care if people like me or not. What I care about is comments like that Tomlinson put out a few weeks ago make people knowing that they are complete and utter lies, to go with all the other stuff on there. It's funny because in these documents, he is saying that many things he's saying that are untrue, but there's some things on the site that he's not even mentioning. One of them is an actual fact of something his son said. He's not even referring to that. So he's picking and choosing what he wants to say are lies. It is what it is. So I don't know. I hope it does stop. Ron, do I think it could, we could sit down with a representative, resolve the situation? Has it gone too far? I've tried to, like I said earlier, I have tried to resolve this 4 times now. I tried to resolve it 2 weeks ago. Prior to that, I tried to resolve it on the 19th of October by sending him an email, which is out there on Astomo, and he refused. So I don't know what else you can do to try and resolve it. So that's it. There are certain things on the that I have completely, obviously, as a law-abiding citizen, adhered to. I have removed the items as part of the injunction that the judge says I've got to remove, and that lasts until the hearing on the at 2 o'clock on Monday. I find it bothers me immensely, deep down to the core, that the man that says, as I said before, he is completely open and honest and transparent, would resort to having these served to me on a Saturday to stop me putting out certain information. I think that says a lot. Life's too short for this stuff, like I said in my email to him in October. But I will not let him put out disinformation. I will not let him lie about certain things. And I will never, no matter what, whether it's to my detriment or not, back down to bullies. And I'm sure after everything my family and I have been through, you will understand how much this has affected everybody. And yeah, maybe I would have been easier to just let it go and leave it. But I can't stand by a man, especially now with the things he's been saying over the last few weeks, the horrible, vile rumors that he's perpetuated, the untruths he's perpetuated about British Masters and why that race is not going ahead this year. I won't let stand by. So let's hope at some point it does all finish. But for now, I'm dealing with this and an injunction. So, we'll see. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your weekend. Catch you soon.